Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky is doing his best to gather Western support for his country's fight against the Russian invasion. He held talks, posted a dozen videos, now is addressing rallies across the globe, calling for support for his country's battle. Thousands of people attended a protest in Tbilisi against Moscow's aggression and also to listen to Ukraine's wartime president.
When we win, and I believe we will win, this will be a great victory of democracy, victory of freedom. This will be the victory of light over darkness, of freedom over slavery, and when Europe will flourish more than ever. Glory to Ukraine.
Now, Zelensky has given his speeches and scores of rallies in the last few hours. He asked the big crowds not to be silent about what is going on in his country. Speaking via video link transmitted to Bratislava, Frankfurt, Prague, Lyon, Vienna and other cities, Zelensky said that the future of Europe depends on the outcome of the war with Russia.
If Ukraine doesn't sustain, the entire Europe won't either. If Ukraine falls, the entire Europe will fall.
Now, for the last 10 days, massive protests have been held across the world against the Russian aggression. Around 40,000 gathered in Prague alone, holding up the Ukrainian flag and anti-Putin signs. These protesters have expressed their support and solidarity with the people of Ukraine.
Nám na tom záleží, na svobodě, protože si myslíme, že je to to nejdůležitější, co je a stojí za to bojovat a je asi i...
Je neuvěřitelný, co se tam děje nevinným lidem, těm dětem, kteří tam ztrácí rodiče, příbuzní.
And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky spoke to his American counterpart Joe Biden. The two leaders discussed the latest developments in Ukraine, and this comes as Russian troops continue to inch towards the Ukrainian capital, Kiev. Now, in the phone call, the two leaders discussed issues of financial support for Ukraine, the continuation of financial sanctions against Russia. Zelensky urged the West to ramp up military assistance to the war-torn country, including adequate supply of warplanes and other artillery. Biden, meanwhile, has urged the Congress to provide a $10 million aid to Ukraine to help Zelensky government fight the conflict. The United States State Department, meanwhile, issued a message on behalf of President Biden for the people of Russia. United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken, meanwhile, met Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba at the Polish-Ukrainian border in a show of solidarity against the Russian invasion. The high-stakes meet came as Moscow and Kiev accused each other of violating the temporary ceasefire in the region. The two leaders spoke for nearly an hour at a border crossing full of refugees fleeing the violence. Blinken and Kuleba discussed the provision of weapons supply to Ukraine and the latest campaign to isolate Moscow internationally. Blinken assured Kuleba of United States support and said that the entire world is now with Ukraine in this fight against Russia's aggression.
The entire world stands with Ukraine, just as I am standing here in Ukraine with my friend, my colleague, Dmytro Kuleba, the Foreign Minister of Ukraine. We've seen an extraordinary surge of support from around the world against Russia's aggression, against Russia's war of choice, against what is happening every single day, every single minute in Ukraine to civilians throughout the country as a result of this aggression, but also extraordinary support for Ukraine itself.
Diplomatic efforts continued on Saturday. Blinken held further talks with Polish Prime Minister and Foreign Minister to discuss the Ukraine crisis. Now, this came a day after attending a NATO meeting in Brussels. The alliance has pledged to step up support for NATO members that border Ukraine and Russia. Now, Blinken also visited a refugee center in Poland, where hundreds of refugees are currently camping in after fleeing the violence in Ukraine. According to latest reports, nearly 800,000 people have crossed into Poland from Ukraine due to the war. Authorities have established nearly 30 reception points on the border to assist the incoming refugees. Poland has so far received the highest number, followed by Hungary. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.